Good evening and welcome to the Kingsport Board of Mayor and Aldermen February 18th business meeting. At this time, we will stand and have our Pledge of Allegiance by Sullivan County Commissioner Mark Iverson, followed by invocation by Reverend Collins from Waverly Road Presbyterian Church.
Place the flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this evening, this chance to be here. We pray that a spirit of wisdom fill this place and guide the hearts of all people here as we seek to love all who are in our community. We pray that you help us to have hearts of service and hands of mission. We pray all this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Be seated. Thank you, Reverend Collins and Commissioner Harrison. Mr. Recorder, I ask you to take the roll, please.
Mayor Montgomery.
Here.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Here.
Alderman Baker.
Here.
Alderman Cooper. Alderman George.
Here.
Alderman Mays.
Here.
Alderman Phillips.
Here.
Thank you. All 6 of 7 members present tonight. Thank you. Mr. City Manager.
All right, we have one recognition on the agenda tonight. That is the 2024 Cosby Award recipients. I'd ask that Andrea Salyer join Alderman Baker at the podium, please.
Yeah, I'm excited tonight to have Andrea Salyer, the Chief Business Development Officer for the Kingsport Chamber, to come. She is going to recognize the 2024 Cosby Award recipients, and I think it goes without saying small business is the backbone of our economy. I understand 80% of all new jobs that happen come from small business. So I want to say that, tell those here tonight, thank you for investing in our city, and very excited to hear what's going on. So I'll step aside.
Thank you for having us, and we always look forward to this night almost as much as we look forward to the day that we recognize these businesses and announce it. I want to introduce a couple team members. I think you are familiar with them, but I just want to make sure that you are aware, and that goes with our audience as well. We have Bree Roberts. She is the Program Director for the Appalachian Highlands Women's Business Center. And we also have Madison Green with us, who works with Cosby and also government relations at the Kingsport Chamber. Thanks, ladies, for being here. Our job today is to recognize again our 2024 Cosby Award winners. The Cosby Awards have been going on long before I took the position here at the Kingsport Chamber. And when we do this, the judges take it very seriously. So they're looking at these businesses, they're asking them about their staying power, their financials, how they deal with customers. So this is not something that's taken lightly. There's an application, and then there is a judging process where all of the contenders meet with the judges for about 30 minutes to talk about their business and answer questions. So this year, or last year, we announced our winners for the 2024 New Business Excellence Award goes to Tri-Cities Electric. If you're here, I do want you to come up, because I'm going to ask you to just say a couple words about your business and introduce yourselves. The Gazelle Award went to American Tours and Charters. If you'll come up, please. The Staying Power Award, JMS Associates, otherwise known as Jersey Mike's. I know you're here tonight. The Ernie Rumsby Veteran Award went to Digital Overwatch. He's here tonight. Customer Service Excellence goes to Conscious Cannabis Company, LLC. And I think they are a 2-time winner. Impassioned Pelvic Health could not be here tonight. And lastly, Downtown Flowers and Gifts, formerly Rainbows Inn, if you remember. So if you all don't mind to please just come up, introduce yourselves, and let the BMA know that you're a job creator, right, and what your business provides. Thank you.
Hi, y'all. You may remember me from a completely different role, but I'm Bianca Murray. This is my lovely husband, Tim Doherty. About 2 years ago, I quit the screen And I took a step back and decided that the fires I was covering, the electrical fires I was covering, needed to be mitigated. So now we're stopping the electrical fires from happening by running Tri-Cities Electric. We do commercial and residential services all over the Tri-Cities region, and we are just really happy to be here. So thank you so much for all of the support that we get from the entire business community in Kingsport. It's been amazing. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
It's kind of hard to come behind. And so I'm Charles Maxwell. I'm the owner of American Tours and Charters here in Kingsport, formerly Maxwell Coach Company. But anyways, what I do is provide transportation services for the city, for our county, and then I do tours all across the United States and Canada. So, and then we're starting to do cruises. So it's kind of helping boost our little bit of economy here in Kingsport, you know, but that's what I do.
Hi, my name's David Wampler, and my wife and I started Jersey Mike's, our first store in 2001, up in Bristol, Virginia, and today we have 8 locations, the 3 in Kingsport, 3 in Bristol, 1 in Abingdon, 1 over in Norton, Virginia, and we're soon to have 1 in Gray, Tennessee. So we've really been blessed, and it's such a great honor to be a part of the Kingsport community because I grew up here. I was born in Kingsport and grew up here, so we love Kingsport.
Good evening. I'm Jason Kaczynski with Digital Overwatch. We're a family-owned and operated IT services company located right here in Kingsport. We're also a veteran-owned company. Both my wife and I served for a combined 25 years, and we're really proud to do that. When we brought Digital Overwatch to the community, we also brought our 3 adult children, including 1 fiance, still working that one out. And ultimately, we're committed to this area. We're looking at building out an IT center of excellence that can support not just this region, but also bring in revenue from other areas, known as a security operations center with enhanced capabilities. People know us for our cybersecurity, but they say for the experience. Some of the things that we're really proud of is the companies that we've helped out here with cybersecurity, email security issues, breach response, and then just rebuilding their entire IT experience to meet their business. I'd love to talk to folks about some of the things that we can do, and I appreciate being here. Thank you.
How's it going? My name's Mikey. I'm from Conscious Cannabis. His is Dalton. So we're from Conscious Cannabis, and we just bring a healthy and safe alternative to the region. You know, we have a little bit of a different approach. We really believe in benefit over buzz. So, you know, we're not your normal smoke shop. We don't really have all of those crazy items that you would see there. So if you really want to focus on education or anything along those lines, come check us out.
And I just want to say thanks again, and we'll be opening up the applications for this year. It'll be the summer. Thanks so much, Mayor, Alderman.
Congratulations to the winners. And congratulations, Andrea, for another successful year. Thank you. At this part of our meeting where the citizens may come and speak on any item that's on the agenda or any issue item that you may have. When you come to the podium, we ask you to state your name and address and sign the register that's there. You're encouraged to keep your comments non-personal in nature, and you should be limited to 5 minutes and a total of 30 minutes. If you decide to come, don't be surprised we don't respond to you because this is your time to talk. We talk later. So anyone wanted to speak? Seeing none, we'll close.
I didn't bring my pen. I'll come back and write that down. My
Okay.
name's Luann McMurray. I live at 844 Granby Road, Kingsport, Tennessee. Thank you very much. And I just have a question, and I guess maybe somebody will be able to answer that for me
Well,
later.
we won't take any, 'cause it's not question and answer. We'd be glad to talk to you after the meeting
Okay.
or anytime after today, but this is your time to make your comment, and
Well,
we
I
won't
was
respond.
gonna, okay, I'll
Okay.
express my concerns about additional traffic on Granby Road. And someone has let me know who I need to talk to help me understand what a traffic impact study is. I recently moved here from Gate City, Virginia, and there's not enough traffic there to do an impact study on. So that's what I'm wanting to know about. So I just have concerns about all the additional traffic that a new development of the size of that would bring. So if I can understand what that is, that might help me to understand what's going on.
Well, as soon as you sit down, we'll have a public hearing, and you probably will understand better when that goes
Oh,
on.
okay, thank you.
Mr. City Manager.
All right, we'll move on into the agenda. The first item is appointments. This is consideration of appointments to the Senior Center Advisory Council. You'll see the names listed there for reappointment and appointment. Even though Renee has gone out of her way to give me the pronunciation, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce all these names on here. So simply ask that you look and see that and read that, and we'd ask for your approval for these appointments, please.
You have before you the names of the appointments to the Senior Center Advisory Council. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Have a motion for approval by Alderman George. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Baker. Any discussion?
A good group.
Okay, all in favor of the appointments to the Senior Advisory Council, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Next item is our approval of minutes from the work session on February 3rd, 2025, and the business meeting on February 4th, 2025. We'd ask that you approve these minutes as submitted.
You have before you the minutes, and I'm sure you've read them by now. Are there any corrections or changes? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
We have a motion for approval by Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Phillips. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. And opposed, like sign. Minutes are approved, 6-0. Mr. City Manager.
All right, your next item is the public hearing that you referenced a minute ago. This is to conduct a public hearing in consideration of an ordinance to amend zoning of tax map 0290, Group A, Parcel 32, located along Williams Road from the R1B Residential District to R3, Low Density Apartment District. Jessica McMurray with our Planning Department will lead that. Jessica, I'll have to advance your slides from here, so.
Thank you. This is an owner-requested rezoning located along Williams Road. On this map, you can see the vicinity of where the site is located. The request is the property be rezoned from R1B Residential District to R3 Low Density Apartment District to accommodate construction of a new townhome development. On the next slide, you can see the proposed development plan. During their January meeting, the Planning Commission did vote to send a positive recommendation to rezone from R1B to R3 based on the site's compatibility with an adjacent R3 district and its role as a smooth transition between existing industry, commercial, and residential areas. A public hearing notice was published January 27th. During the January meeting, the Planning Commission did receive comments from from adjacent neighbors citing concerns about speeding, increased traffic, and stormwater management. The developer has been informed that a traffic impact study is required due to the number of proposed units. Even if zoning remains unchanged, a traffic study would still be necessary based on the number of single-family units that could be developed. Traffic improvements recommended in the impact study will be implemented to address increased traffic. For speeding, speed tables and police radar are much more effective. Residents with concerns are encouraged to contact our traffic department. Stormwater management will be thoroughly reviewed through the development review process before construction plan approval, with stormwater required to remain on site. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
At this point, I will open the public hearing. Does anyone want to speak on behalf of this request?
Mayor, can we speak
When he calls it back.
Yeah.
when you come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to further amend the zoning code text and map to rezone property located along Williams Road from the R1B Residential District to R3 Low Density Apartment District in the 12th Civil District of Sullivan County to fix the penalty for the violation of this ordinance and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
You've heard the reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman Phillips, or second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. Now discussion.
Jessica, can you talk about the traffic impact study that'll be required? What goes into that?
There's quite a bit that goes into it. The results of the impact study are going to determine what improvements are made to intersections and to roadways.
It's more than just putting down a strip to get the traffic count.
It's very
Much more
detailed,
in-depth.
very in-depth.
Yeah.
It's completed by an engineer.
Yeah,
We're
okay,
gonna
thank
look
you.
at volume, type of traffic, hours of traffic. Every use, so residential use is looked at in one lens, commercial use is looked at in another one. So all of that will be factored in to generate the anticipated number of trips, what the peak times would be, roadway capacity, level of service at intersections, all that will go into consideration.
And this will include the intersection of Granby and 11W.
Yes.
Thanks, Chris.
I made this point last night and just want to reiterate this. So there's how many proposed to go?
274.
274 townhomes. So, but the way it sits right now, somebody can build 128.
I think it was 160, single family.
Is it 31.8 acre? Okay, so 160. So I just know this area has been talked about being developed for a long time. So I think, whichever way, whatever they decide to put there, the traffic impact study is going to end up being needed, and eventually it's going to be developed, and there's going to be homes, apartments, or townhomes that are going to be there. So just it's whether what they decide after.
Can't move forward if the traffic study shows improvements must be made, then for this to be developed, those have to be made. The developer
Yes.
will have to do that.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it will actually, whether they finish it out or not, if they are moving forward to build one, all of that has to happen. So it will improve the roads there, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jessica, do you have any, if this is approved, do you have any time frame when the developer may do this? I mean, he's got a period of time.
He does, and we don't know what, I know that a lot depends upon the rezoning itself occurring.
And also, I'd like to add, we, especially for the lady that spoke previously and the citizens out there, we discussed this last night at our work session meeting and asked the same questions, and really shared the same questions among ourselves. And so those, pretty much what you heard is the answers we got last night. So I passed at the Planning Commission meeting on this particular one because of the concerns of the impact or traffic and my lack of understanding the thoroughness of the traffic study. So after last night and speaking with staff about this topic, I feel like we should move forward. I think James makes a great point that development could occur anyway, albeit it's not the same number. But the traffic study could be an opportunity for us to get that intersection fixed on Stone Drive, or at least safety concerns addressed, and the traffic and the speeding. So I'm going to remain hopeful that we can use this as an opportunity to make improvements for that whole neighborhood. So, but we'll see. That this doesn't mean it's approved. There's still a lot of steps to move forward with this. So.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments or discussion at this point? Seeing none, hearing none. All in favor of the ordinance to amend the zoning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Ordinance approved, 6-0. City Manager.
Our next item is consideration of an ordinance to amend term links for various boards and commissions appointed by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Earlier at our February 3rd work session, Assistant City Manager Jessica Harmon went through a presentation where we talked about the various boards and commissions. our desire to ensure that we are advertising for vacancies on those, and then to try to do that at 2 distinct dates over the course of the year. Felt like that would be important in order to make our citizens aware of these boards, when they could apply, what they would be applying for, and the process to do so. And so with your action tonight, you take another step forward in making that a reality. This will set up the term end dates, expiration dates for various individuals to be either April or October. We will take this up again in April, when we will begin identifying the seats that would be open, the advertisement for that, and the process when the board would have opportunities to select. Very pleased that this is something that we've been able to bring forward to you all. This is something that we're seeing more and more cities across the country move to, and it's a great way to help our citizens see how they can get involved. With that, Mayor, be happy to answer any questions, but we recommend approval of the resolution, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to authorize the extension of terms for present members of boards and commissions beyond the length of time established in Section 2-330 in the Code of Ordinances, City of Kingsport, Tennessee, and to affix the effective date of this ordinance. And Mr. Mayor, if I may point out for the board, this afternoon a scrivener's error was identified in the ordinance that was previously circulated among the board, and that has since been corrected to reflect a vacancy on the Bays Mountain Park Commission.
Okay, thank you. You've heard the reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. Discussion.
Chris, do we think
ahead.
that this will, I know we struggle sometimes getting the different boards and commissions filled, people volunteering to do that. This will be outside of the Christmas time trying to recruit people. Do we think this might help?
We do. I mean, right now, it's very much, it's just scattered over the course of the year. And so it's very difficult for someone who goes to our website, goes to servekingsport.com, they enter their information, they don't know when those are coming open. So now when we've got it kind of bookended with April and October, we can push out what those vacancies are. People can see it, they can apply, go through the process. So yes, we think it will be, it will generate more names for your consideration. Absolutely.
Now, if there's a vacancy that happens between terms and it's critical absence,
We can address that.
we can address that.
Sure can.
I think it'll be a lot better for the citizens because, as stated, a lot of people, they want to do something, they put their name in there, and they don't understand that, you know, you could put your name in the slot, but we may not have an opening for a year and a half, and then they think they wanted to serve and we didn't select them or they didn't move forward, and this way people will know these are your, you know, your name on, these are what you're interested in.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the ordinance, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Ordinance passes 6-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a budget ordinance for various funds in fiscal '25. You see within the executive summary, the receipt of dollars coming in through our apprentice program for our police training. In addition to that, funding coming in for the Renaissance Center Improvement Project, as well as additional funds being transferred and received for various things regarding Bays Mountain. We'd ask that you approve this budget ordinance on first reading, please.
Mr. Attorney, please publish the ordinance.
An ordinance to amend various fund budgets for the year ending June 30th, 2025, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
You've heard the reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman George. Sir, second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Mays. Any discussion or comment? Hearing none. All in favor of the ordinance, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Ordinance passes 6-0. City Manager.
All right, you have two items for second and final reading. The first is consideration of a budget ordinance for various funds in fiscal '25. We ask that you approve the budget ordinance on second and final reading, please.
Mr. Attorney, please publish.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. An ordinance to amend various fund budgets for the ending June 30th, 2025, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
Okay, you heard the reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval, Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Alderman Phillips. Any discussion? Mr. Recorder, will you take the roll, please?
Alderman Baker,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Duncan,
Aye.
Alderman George,
Aye.
Alderman Mays,
Aye.
Alderman Phillips,
Aye.
Mayor Montgomery.
Aye. The ordinance passes 6-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a budget ordinance for the general fund in fiscal '25. See primarily what this is associated with is funding for Pet Works. Helps with our operating budget for the remainder of the year. We'd ask that you approve this on second and final reading, please.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
An ordinance to amend various fund budgets for the year ending June 30th, 2025, and to fix the effective date of this ordinance.
You've heard the reading of the ordinance. May I have a motion for approval?
So move.
Motion for approval by Alderman Mays, or second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Baker. Any discussion? Mr. Recorder, please take the roll, please.
Alderman Baker,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Duncan,
Aye.
Alderman George,
Aye.
Alderman Mays,
Aye.
Alderman Phillips,
Aye.
Mayor Montgomery.
Aye. Ordinance passes 6-0. Mr. City Manager.
All right, moving on now to other business. First item here is consideration of a resolution authorizing City of Kingsport's application and acceptance of funding through THDA's 2025 Emergency Solutions Grant. Couple items regarding the ESG grant on the agenda tonight. This one actually deals with the City of Kingsport. This is for the funding of a homeless outreach position that is embedded within the police department. We were successful in receiving these dollars last year. We're hopeful, based upon the work that has been done and demonstrated over the last year, that we'll have another successful grant award again this year. We ask that you approve the resolution authorizing us to seek this funding.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving an application for a U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Emergency Solutions Grant, accepting the grant funds if awarded, and authorizing the mayor to sign the grant application and all the documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of this resolution.
You've heard the reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval, Alderman Baker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Phillips. Any discussion?
I just want to mention that this and other things like this go under the radar that we do. I don't believe that the city gets any credit at all for addressing homelessness in the city of Kingsport. But when you ask someone, hey, did you hear about the $250,000 grant we applied for and received that went to this or that, dealing with homelessness, the answer is always no. So I think it's just important to always point out that, you know, we've got $117,000 here that we're looking, if we receive, to put towards homelessness in the city of Kingsport. So just because we're not building a brick and mortar shelter that the citizens pay for and operate, we are putting money towards things, and I just think that always goes under the radar.
Good point.
Well, and our social workers do an amazing job too. They're boots on the ground.
I was going to mention, this is actually meeting the homeless where they are. And so, you know, I think the city sometimes, we don't be viewed as having compassion, but meeting folks where they are and trying to assess what the need is, I think they do a tremendous job with this.
Okay. Any other points of discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the resolution, say aye. Aye. And opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 6-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item comes to us from the Board of Education. This is a consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for E-rate Category 2 network equipment for fiscal 25-26. This sets up an agreement for them as it relates to their computers as well as other necessary services. You see the funding outlined there for this, and we'd ask that you approve this item, please, allowing for us to enter into this contract.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the purchase of E-rate Category 2 network equipment and services to the Tennessee Education Broadband Consortium for fiscal year 2025-2026 with Personal Computer Systems Incorporated for Kingsport City Schools use.
You've heard reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval, Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Baker. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the resolution, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 6-0. Mr. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution to purchase 2 Starlight Transit buses from the Commonwealth of Virginia contract number CTR 017836. You're very familiar with the struggle that we have had to purchase new buses. This is really something that has been present all across the country since the pandemic. The estimated delivery on these new buses is we're in the neighborhood of 7 to 8 months. 92%, a little more than 92% is being covered either by federal or state dollars that go to fund transit. We're excited to be able to start bringing these on to our fleet. Mayor?
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 Starlight Transit buses from Sonny Merriman Incorporated utilizing Commonwealth of Virginia State Contract Number CTR 017836 for use by the Kingsport Area Transit Service, and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Commonwealth of Virginia and purchase orders to Sonny Merriman Incorporated for the same.
You've heard the reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval, Alderman George. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Phillips. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 6-0. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution awarding the bids for the purchase of various water and sewer maintenance items. This is an annual item that comes before you all. You see various companies listed there that will be able to participate as a result of this bid. It comes to you all because the cost will exceed $50,000, so it then requires BMA approval. This will be on an as-needed basis based upon what the needs are within the warehouse or within our operations scattered throughout Greater Kingsport. Funding is made available in the various accounts within water and sewer. We'd ask that you approve the resolution authorizing the bid.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution awarding the bid for the purchase of various water and sewer maintenance items to Ferguson Enterprise, Consolidated Pipe and Supply Incorporated, Core and Main Incorporated, and GC Supply, and authorizing the city manager to execute purchase orders for the same.
You've heard the reason of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval, Alderman Mays, or second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the resolution, say aye. Aye. And opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 6-0. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a financial contribution supporting the regional efforts to recruit additional airline service at Tri-Cities Airport. At our February 3rd work session, both John Rose and Gene Cossey with Airport, John Rose with Bridge, gave a presentation, answered a lot of questions in regard to the work that is being done regionally to look at efforts to attract a new airline in to the city of Kingsport. It's very common in these recruitment efforts to have to provide a minimum revenue guarantee or an MRG. It is recommended that the city of Kingsport place $250,000 towards the goal of securing $2 million for that MRG. And I have asked John if he would come up to the podium. I know there's questions that the board.
Can we?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving a financial contribution in the amount of $250,000 supporting regional efforts to recruit additional airline service at the Tri-Cities Airport, authorizing such agreements as may be needed to effectuate the purpose of this resolution, and expressing the intent of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to establish one or more project accounts and an ordinance appropriating funds to effectuate the purpose of this resolution as needed.
You've heard a reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval, Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Baker. Now, sir.
Thank you. It definitely helps to get that out of the way. Several things that we have kind of been discussing as we've moved through this, and questions that have been asked either yesterday at our work session or prior to that in regards to some basic things associated with that. I'll definitely let John go into that. I also want to state that within our resolution, we have asked that not only we encourage the rest of the region both public and private sector to follow the lead set by Sullivan County and then now by the city of Kingsport to contribute towards this. We also appreciate John and his team listening to the feedback, not only from Kingsport, but throughout the region, and establishing a committee. I've received an invite to that, to sit on that, to look at this in more detail, to help us understand what legalese of this will look like, other owners that would be represented as well. So I know that's something that has been discussed, and definitely want to look at that. And I hope it's not just for this, but for others, and we keep this committee going for other things. Mayor, I know there's questions from the board, so I'll turn it over to you and between John and I.
Okay, I have received that same invitation as well, so.
Good.
You want to have further explanations or questions you want? I think it's scope questions. So John, it's open now. Any questions you have? Comments?
Well, I mean, myself, I'll start out. I think this is, it's like a letter of intent for us. I mean, we may not directly say that in this document, but it's a letter of intent. And as we go on down the road, we don't even have it in the budget yet. We discussed this yesterday, so I kind of look at it this direction, I guess, instead of, we certainly we discussed this yesterday as well. It's a good idea for us to have, kind of a place at the table, and I think that's a good idea, so that's what we kind of added here, so I think it's really good.
John, I've got a couple of questions. First, thanks for your work on this. You've been working on it for a few months. As an alderman, when I think about, we're being asked to make an investment, this is public dollars that we're going to be allocating. I recognize public dollars are out of my neighbors and friends and families and people I've never met in Kingsport. It comes out of their pockets. So a couple of questions I've got just from an investment standpoint. First, is there enough business and leisure demand to sustain the routes that's being talked about? I know you can't mention the routes, what they are, you can't mention the airline, but knowing your conversations with Gene, do we have enough travel to sustain those two routes that's being looked at?
Based on the current statistics with Tri-Cities Airport, we have 60% leakage out of the airport. That's over 400,000 people that could travel out of our airport that are going to competing airports, cities. Sometimes they travel as far as Nashville to get a flight, or Charlotte. And so just that sheer number lends to being able to fill those flights up, because, and the airline sees that also. Their quote to us is they see us as a growth market. And then the other thing I would think about is it gives us a more competitive edge, because right now we only have 11% of our flights, our seats, I should say, let me make sure I get that right. The 11% of seats that leave Tri are from a low-cost carrier. We are competing against a national average of about 36% for airports, but some of our closest competitors have as much as 41% low-cost seats, which puts us at about 25% of where they're at, and that is why we feel like we can draw the market and give people the opportunity to travel out of Tri versus competing airports.
Okay, thanks. Second question I've got, and you spoke to it a little bit there. What's the estimated return on the investment? We was talking to citizens, and they asked us, what's the return on the investment we're going to make? How would you answer that?
So you have the tangible and intangible. So let's talk about intangible first. We know that it helps attract businesses, because when you can travel to major markets, it allows for a business to be conducted more efficiently. We also, the other intangible that we can't put a number on, statistics show that if you bring this type of carrier into the market, that it attracts additional flights, therefore more seats from even existing carriers, because they want to make sure that they see the need. But it also opens up opportunity for this carrier to add flights. The key is to get the first one. Then if you go to tangible, the airport expects just this one project we're talking about here will grow into about 10 full-time jobs. And then we've not even touched on the tourist dollars coming in. So I talked to some tourism professionals just to use an average, and they typically say a group or a family of three spends about $450 per day directly into the local economy. If you take a family or a group of three and they just spend 3 nights here, That's $1,350 every time they come in. Well, with this airline, we would have about 4 flights per week coming in. If just one family stays 3 nights times 4, that gets to almost $250,000 of direct input just with that few of tourists coming to the area, and that's just one family per flight. So the direct return could be significantly higher than that, which supports a lot of local businesses, not just the airport.
Yeah, I know I've had folks ask me, what's the routes? And I'm like, I don't know. I heard you say at our work session, though, that NETA, the regional marketing group, you had a conversation with them about what their top. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, and in addition to that, we also have talked with tourism folks in Virginia. And so the question was asked, they're like, we know you can't tell which city and which route. And so I asked NETA, so just name your top 10. And they got to about number 7 or 8. And I said, you're not going to be happy, you're going to be thrilled. And so it's in the top markets. And then another tourism professional said, is it data-driven, those markets? Yes. The airline doesn't want to come into a market and not succeed. That costs money. And so the airline's needs matches up with local data-driven research that says, yes, this is the markets that would be very beneficial to our market. So that's the depth that we've went to in making sure that we select and negotiate properly with the airline.
Last thing, and I'm glad that we added to the resolution that the mayor and city manager will review the contract. I've read about minimum revenue guarantees, and all contracts are private. They're not a public document. But I know it's more and more that clawback clauses are being put in, out clauses are being put in, so you protect the local investment. Comment on that?
Yes, so our attorney that's helping us on our side would be Joel Conkin. He's already reviewed that contract. And there is out clauses for both parties. And Chris mentioned the Air Service Committee. We've already had about 70% of the local mayors and city managers commit within 24 hours to meeting later in March, is that they are able to review and see that, and to also make sure that their interest that they bring to the table is protected and spent wisely. And so we have worked it both from legal and involving the mayors and city managers to make sure they are at the table and seeing exactly how we're doing to protect their interests and thereby protecting the citizens' interests.
Good deal. Thanks. That gives me comfort. That's all I've got, Mayor.
Mayor, I'll add one thing to that. When John and I talked today, I didn't realize Joel was working on that. And of course, we use Joel for Economic Development Board, and over the last 5.5 years, we've talked with Joel a lot about clawbacks. And John, when you were working for us, we put a lot of agreements together with clawbacks in there to protect ourselves. So I know Joel understands that, and I was pleased to know today that he was the one working on it. Thanks.
Thank you.
John, I know we're looking for $2 million, and I know that Sullivan County, I think, has already made a commitment. Obviously, we're voting tonight. Can you give us an update on what the other owners of the airport, what their time process is? I know now that we're all aware that we have a deadline, which is nice to know on the front end. And also where you feel the private sector is, if any of those have already committed. So, how do you feel about reaching this total number in the time frame that we're now aware of?
So let's go to the public first. I talked to City Manager Bristol this morning. They're going to bring it back to their work session in March. And I talked to Washington County today. They're also going to do the same thing. I did not, City Manager Ball and I traded phone calls, as did City Manager Administrator Eads in Bristol, Virginia. But we have met with both those groups. With Johnson City, we've presented to their work session already with very positive response. And we've also presented to Bristol, Virginia, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Chief Financial Officer in a one-on-one session to give them an update on the project. Mr. Eads was going to call me back today, but he was on a flight, both AM and PM. So, but we have communicated, and I will, as this goes on, we will update the committee that we're putting together on the voting dates that we expect. And
Are you anticipating most of the partners having a vote sometime in March?
I think the latest, any of the partners that I've talked to, one of them has a vote on April 1st, which still works because our deadline is April 7th. And we would have probably positive feedback before that vote. So that would be the latest vote if they didn't get it into their March vote. And then as far as private is concerned, we've met with multiple companies and even talking with my board today about commitments. We're waiting for some of them not to commit and do a verbal or not a public commitment. We have met with multiple companies. We've got positive feedback, but I've had to say this: we can't make their announcement for them, just like I won't speak for a city or a county until they vote. And so right now, we are well on our way to making sure we meet that. And I'll quote people I talked to today: "We will get there," and that's from both board members and private sectors. So we feel really good about it. It actually helped this getting pushed back 60 days. In the long run, it allowed for more productive conversations, gave us time to get an air service committee together that has been, within 24 hours to have that many local leaders agree to get to it. We feel very good about it at this point.
I think in your discussions, is it a cutoff of 2 million? Or if there is, because some of these will be coming in later, that everybody will participate and that money might kind of be just figured in the formula, so even if the total commitment is higher, the percentage when you move forward and everybody approves a formula based on the ownership of the airport or the usage or some of the formulas that have been used in the past, that even if we pledges add up over 2 million, everybody just puts in their fair share, and that we move forward based on that, knowing that we wouldn't give more than 2 million.
I think that's where we'd be at now, because that is really the reason we're getting the Air Service Committee together, is to come up with a formula with everybody at the table. And so we are just hosting the meeting. We've truly, and the formulas range, I did a little history. Back in 1930-something when the airport was bought, it was an even split among multiple communities. And then it changed from that point to now. There's been multiple formulas used. We'll have all those at the meeting, and we plan on sending those out before. And I've also talked to some city leaders that they are working on a proposed formula. But for this to happen efficiently and effectively, everybody needs to be in the same room, and that's what they've agreed to do. And so and then the long-term growth would be, hey, if we come up with a formula and we find out in 9 months or 12 months that we can add another flight, it's going so well, that committee will already be together and we'll be able to respond much quicker than what we're able to this time around. So I think the committee, the Air Service Committee, made up of the elected mayors and city managers, will be an invaluable asset to help this project move forward and to keep everybody involved.
I feel very comfortable that by the deadline of April 7th, we will be able to announce that we've got the money in place and this is moving forward.
I do.
Any other comments?
I just have a comment. I just, first of all, thank John for his persistence. And certainly, I think everyone here in the region has been watching these meetings and reading the news media about this topic. And certainly, it's been discussed here in our setting a great deal. And so the desire, the way I look at this, the desire for us to see the airport be successful is very strong. The desire for an opportunity like this to help small business, which we recognized a few of those here tonight, and also an opportunity for our citizens to have lower airfare and hopefully hedge against folks traveling to Knoxville and Asheville and to utilize Tri-Cities Regional Airport. Those desires are very strong. The uncertainty is putting public funds into an opportunity like this without certainty, 100% certainty. So that's really not a reality. We're not going to have 100% certainty. We're dealing with a private business. We're trying to promote our airport with all those desires, all those opportunities we hope develop. I think what's convincing for me was our discussion yesterday with the advent of an idea from this board that the city manager and the mayor be involved in the contract and look at the contract and represent the city and give us a little more certainty in the project. So I hope it's successful. I hope it works. But those desires to see the airport be thriving and opportunities for our small business and citizens, I think make this should be a positive vote for me. And appreciate your efforts. Appreciate all the hard work this board has done because they've taken this topic very, very seriously.
We appreciate it.
Any other comments?
John, like a kid at Christmas, when will you be able to announce who the airline is and the routes? Will you do that, or will the airline be the one that does that?
We don't care, just so it gets announced.
I agree.
But no, the plan would be, there would be a rollout announcement. We'd probably host it at the airport with the airline there. They would like to make that announcement well in advance of their start time frame.
Would it be shortly after the contract is signed?
Yes,
or-
that is the plan, is shortly after contract, is that the committee would be given the schedule, and then we would be shouting it from the mountaintops, what the time frame would be.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes 6-0. City manager.
All right, next item is consideration of a resolution that transfers property from KEDB to the city of Kingsport and approves a contribution to KEDB. At our last meeting, we talked to you all about a grant that the city is pursuing through the Office of Outdoor Recreation. This is a significant grant, over $6 million when you combine in our local match. In order to successfully apply for this, the city of Kingsport has to own the property that it would make improvements on outright. While we do a lot of things in partnership with the Economic Development Board, they're two separate entities. This allows for that property where the baseball fields and the Miracle Field is located to be transferred to the city. Upon doing so, then that gives us a clear pathway for the application. We would also then provide funding over the next several years for the Economic Development Board, who currently has a loan on this property. This, coupled with the buy-down of the various phases of the Brickyard Village development, will allow that debt to be retired. So we'd ask that you approve the resolution authorizing us to move forward with the transfer of this property.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving a contribution to the Industrial Development Board of the City of Kingsport, Tennessee for economic or industrial development purposes related to Brickyard Park, authorize the mayor to execute the agreement and all the documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of the agreement.
You've heard the reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman George. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Duncan. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 6-0. Ms. City Manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution supporting the Sullivan County Assessor's proposal to change the reappraisal cycle from 4 years to 2 years. We had some conversation on this last night, but in reality, we've probably been talking about this for the last couple of years. Ms. Donna Whitaker, as the Sullivan County Assessor, intends to move forward on Thursday night with Sullivan County Commission, asking that they would support the change from the reappraisal cycle going from 4 years to 2 years. You'll recall a few years ago, during the ratio appraisal, it hit the city of Kingsport particularly hard. In fact, hardest in the state of Tennessee with a $3.8 million loss. That also had an impact across the county. Since then, Jason Mumpower, the comptroller of the state of Tennessee, has been advocating for changes in state law. He's also been advocating for counties to look at making a change from either a 4 or 5 or 6 down to a 2-year period. This resolution simply expresses our support of that. We recognize that Sullivan County has control over property taxes inside the city, outside the city, across the county, but this would provide our support to them in that effort. Mayor, I ask that you approve the resolution supporting this endorsement.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution supporting the Sullivan County Assessor's proposal to change the tax reappraisal cycle from 4 years to 2 years.
You've heard reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
A motion for approval by Alderman Baker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Mays. Any discussion?
Chris, you mentioned yesterday a benefit to property owners. Can you address that a little bit, of how property owners will benefit from a 2-year reappraisal?
So a couple different ways. First of all, when you're looking at a 2-year appraisal, you're hopefully eliminating the jumps that you would see. And so you look at a 4 or 5 year appraisal, a lot happens, and especially here in the city of Kingsport, a lot has happened with property values over the last several years. And needless to say, as we've seen in our surrounding counties that have already moved forward with the reappraisal, there's going to be an increase, most likely, in property values. This allows that to kind of smooth out, so you don't see that big of a jump. In addition, for those who receive tax assistance, whether they're elderly or veterans, the ratio appraisal can really negatively impact the discount that they are eligible for. And so again, this smooths that out, allows them to really be able to see what that tax bill is going to be each year versus a year when the ratio appraisal may offset it tremendously.
I think I've heard some say a reappraisal guarantees a tax increase, and that's not the case.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, that is not the case. You know, in fact, what you see in the state of Tennessee is the equalization
Right.
of that. And so that's why the tax rate will adjust based upon what the value of the home is, value of the penny in terms of what is being generated within the city.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Resolution passes 5-0. The city manager.
Next item is consideration of resolution for authorization to sign FTDD worksite agreement for the WIO programs and receive reimbursement funds. This is a program through the First Tennessee Development District. This is an opportunity for us to take individuals age 14 to 24 and to be able to bring them into our various different operations, primarily as we look at this for a lot of our part-time or summer jobs that we have. This provides programming for that as well as funding to do so. And so we'd ask that you move forward with approval of this. And as you all know, as we've talked a lot, labor market's very tight. Any assistance we can get, any opportunities we have is a benefit for us, and maybe in some situations, these individuals become full-time employees with us through other departments of the city. Mayor?
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the First Tennessee Development District worksite agreement for WIOA programs to receive reimbursement funds.
You've heard the reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman George. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Duncan. Any discussion?
Program.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 5-0. City manager.
Next item is consideration of a resolution authorizing an agreement with Online Utility Exchange for customer verifications, elections. Floyd Bailey, who's our CIO, went over this last night. This is all associated with our migration with our new CIS. And really just want to take an opportunity now to thank Floyd for the work he's done and kind of leading that effort. It's not easy, but he's done an outstanding job, coupled with the team of city employees that have been assisting with this. So this is a part of that process. We'd ask you to approve the resolution allowing us to move forward with this.
Thank you. Mr. Attorney, please publish.
A resolution approving an agreement with Online Utility Exchange for customer verification and collections and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement and all the documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of the agreement.
You've heard the reading of the resolution. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Alderman Baker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. Any discussion? All in favor of the Resolution, say aye.
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 I'm sorry, I didn't miss, I was reading this, aye.
Okay. Resolution passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, next item is consideration of a resolution authorizing an agreement with Doxum LLC for migration to current platform and implementation of Hanson CIS. Again, this is part of the implementation of the new CIS associated with our utility billing or mailing, customer information. All of this will be tied into Hanson, who you selected as the entity for your new CIS. So we'd ask that you move forward with approval of this agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Please publish.
A resolution declaring Doxum LLC a sole source and approving an agreement with Doxum LLC and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement and all the documents necessary and proper to effectuate the purpose of the agreement.
Thank you. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion for approval by Vice Mayor Duncan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. Any discussion?
Chris, I'll just note, these items are designed to enhance the customer experience with the city. And so I think this is great. The work that's being done. Thanks, Floyd, for your work with that.
Very much a modernization of all things associated with our billing system. Very, very excited to roll this out, very excited to be able to deliver this to citizens. It will be well received.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Resolution passes 5-0. Mr. City Manager.
Moving into the consent agenda, you have 3 items on there. I'll read through those. If you'd like one pulled for additional discussion, please let me know. First is consideration of resolution authorizing the mayor's signature on the certification of local government approval for the 2025 Emergency Solution Grant applications. Second item is consideration of a resolution to approve a property damage release with USAA General Indemnity Company. And last is consideration of a resolution to donate certain library materials to the Friends of the Kingsport Public Library. Michael Borders will be happy to read each and every one of those items off to you if you would like. If not, Mayor would ask you to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, you've heard the reading of those consent agenda items. May I have a motion for approval?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the items on the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman George. Any discussion? Mr. Recorder, please take the roll.
Alderman Baker,
Aye to all 3 items.
Vice Mayor Duncan,
Aye to all.
Alderman George,
Aye to all.
Alderman Mays,
Aye to all.
Mayor Montgomery.
Aye to all. Resolution passes. The consent agenda items pass 5-0.
All right, that concludes your business items. Now move into communications. First, congratulations to Travis Bishop getting through his first work session, first business meeting. Didn't have any trouble, so that's a good sign. Kind of looking at some of the top items that you all have before you tonight. First, the rezoning of property. That's the first step in additional new residential development. Made a comment today when Matthew Lane and I were talking about some press releases that were going out. We're selling them as fast as we can build them. We truly are somewhere probably in the neighborhood of over 1,000 homes that are in some phase going out here over the next several weeks and months. So good continued residential development. This is also residential development on the west end where we already know we've got capacity within schools. And so as we talk more about that, this new residential development is going to impact that tremendously. The airline incentive, glad that we were able to step up to the plate and address that. Definitely see that as a huge livability for our region as well as an opportunity for business recruitment. So we're excited to see where that goes, but really more than anything, I'm excited to see the other dominoes that will fall with this airline coming in. And so that is another exciting thing for our entire region, especially the city of Kingsport. James mentioned the ESG applications, and not only are we setting up funding, hopeful to set up funding if we're awarded for the city of Kingsport, but also several of our partner agencies that work within the homelessness community. have applied for dollars, and we're hopeful that they will be able to receive those. Those are entities that are doing great work. We will be able to administer these dollars for them. So great items on the agenda tonight, great opportunities for our city. And as I state to you often, these are three things that we did in one night. Some cities don't have the opportunity to do this over a 3-year period. Mayor?
Thank you. Alderman Mays.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, we miss Alderman Cooper tonight, and I hope she is recovering well. And yesterday, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and the majority of city staff worked many hours over a strategic plan for the city of Kingsport. And a lot of focus was spent on the community survey, our citizen survey. And very well received, lots of valuable input from our citizens. We were all pleased with the participation of the survey. And I think the facilitators were very impressed with the comments and the positivity from our citizens about our city. But just as important as that was many good ideas. And I think it set a good direction for our city. We still have a lot of work to do, but I'm very proud of this board, very proud of our city, and especially our citizens that communicated and worked in the process with us. So job well done. Still more work to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman George.
Well, I do want to remark that Alderman Phillips did not walk out because we made him mad. He did have to leave because he had an appointment he had to get to, and we were aware of that. So I don't want people just, I don't know what they do on that side. We get along down here. But
You always get sick on this side.
yeah, that's true. We did have a really good meeting, as Alderman Mays said yesterday, and I think that the facilitators of that were very pleased that we had so much participation from our citizens. I think everyone up here is constantly trying to communicate with the public. We're trying to reach out and find ways to make sure that everyone understands what's going on with the city and has the correct information. And it's a struggle. You know, it's really a struggle for all of us to find ways to communicate and to try to put the information out there. So to have as many people respond to a survey, I felt really was beneficial for the information and was a positive thing for our city. We also had the opportunity last week to go talk to our representatives in Nashville. We all went down to present a unified front and present to them what we feel our needs are in this area and what we feel that they are in a position to do to help us to fund some of the things we truly need in Kingsport, and had some good meetings, had some good participation, and are hoping that our representatives will listen and understand the true value of everything we presented, and I truly hope other people will reach out. As an elected official, I know people always like, you know, how do you do this, how much time it takes, and not enough people reach out. You would be surprised that your voice is heard when you make a call, and your voice to Nashville is heard when you make a call. So even though we don't always get what we want, we need to continue to speak our mind and put our voice up there. That goes for our public, but also with us to our legislators there and to our legislators in D.C. The last thing I want to say is, even though my dad is not watching, he could care less that I'm here tonight. Today is his 90th birthday. So I want to wish my dad a happy birthday, and I'm sure he's watching a ball game and having a much better time. But we already got together and had a party, and I just, if anybody sees him, at least say, your daughter wished you a happy birthday. So I just want credit. That's all. That's all I got.
Thank you. Alderman Baker.
You know, we talk about regionalism, and tonight I think the airline incentive is a great example of how the region can come together, see something happen. But also, I talked to some folks today in Dixon County and Hurley, and it's kind of unreal that our southern and east of us got hit with Hurricane Helene. And then just this week, there's areas that's been decimated in Southwest Virginia. We're actually taking a truck up tomorrow to help. So I just encourage us to keep those those folks in our thoughts and prayers. And, you know, we seem to be spared sometimes, many times when something like that happens. But I step back and count my blessings, you know, just going out and seeing the devastation in the south, and I know what we're going to see in the north, some pretty hard-hit areas. And we talk about regionalism and competition, but when events like that happen, communities rally together. And it's pretty special to watch a community come together and say, we're going to get through this, and it's local people, it's government, it's nonprofit sector, business community that all comes together and rallies, and that's how we get through things. So, you know, I'm excited about the airline incentive, but I'm also excited to watch neighbors come together to get through that. So just keep those folks in your thoughts and prayers. I understand Hurley was devastated. So anyway, that's all I'll say.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah, I've got a few things tonight. Public Works, they're anticipating foul weather tonight and tomorrow and into Thursday. And so they started yesterday on pre-treating our roads. So we appreciate all the work that they do. I talk about Keep Kingsport Beautiful quite a bit, but we've got our annual cleanups, and they'll be coming in April. We've already scheduled 3. The first one starts in Lynn Garden, and that'll be April 12th. And we've got 2 scheduled on the 26th of April. And I'll remind people of that. Those start and go from usually from 10 to about 12. And then each month in the month of March, Keep Kingsport Beautiful has gardening seminars. And those are held on Thursday, and they're held at noon at the chamber. And we will be having a ribbon cutting through Keep Kingsport Beautiful for our church circle out here. And more to come on that. They haven't really decided on a date on that. Just some information on CATS. CATS has started a new Uber-type system. And so it works on demand. So if you need to request a trip to go somewhere, for $3, you can go to an app, and the app is Mobility Echo Lane, and so you'll download that app, just put it in, it works just like you would if you was contacting a Uber. That's a good service that we're able to have through CATS, and hopefully that'll be used quite a bit, and I think that's a good thing. And then finally, today was an exciting day. We introduced a hazmat truck to our fleet. And it was good to go out and watch that being pushed into the station today. It was a great turnout at the fire hall for that, and it's not only great for our citizens of our city, but that is certainly something regional too. So in case it's needed, and not only for our county, but places that we do serve. So that's really about it. And I did appreciate yesterday, just in closing, for all the work that's done by the staff for our session we had on yesterday. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner, for joining us here tonight. We appreciate your presence and appreciate you taking the lead, getting our government entities together to move in the right direction. And John, we want you to let the world know now that Kingsport is on board and maybe setting the lead, because we have committed thus far the largest amount. So that should be a good challenge for our friends and neighbors.
Mark said not a lot.
In a sense of competition. Well, hey, call it as I see it. Call it as I see it. Thank you to staff again for the work you're doing and continue to do for making the citizens of Kingsport very comfortable, and also for the work that we're about to do. We talked about yesterday, but I understand next Friday we've got another good day where we'll have a chance to revisit the strategic plan items again, just to make sure that we said what we said and we mean what we said. So we'll get one more shot at that as we look at the budget. And thank you for the amount of work that you put in thus far this month. It's been a good working month, and we got more to go, and thanks for the effort. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Good job, man.